Okay, so now you can see that this is the quickened version. I've gone ahead and just shifted all the polys on the front viewport into position, and we have all the bends in the places that we need them to be. But issue is we now have to do the side. Now the side is where the biggest challenge comes in, for the reason being that it's a lot more awkward, because you have to not only be thinking about what's in the front but also what is happening to the back as well. So my little bit of advice is this: when you're working with the vertices on a side view, remember that the outline of the front view is the front line of your side view. So try to remember that. So just to prove my point, if I selected this vertex here, it highlights on here. So just try to remember that. Secondly, on a side view, the outline of your creature, whatever it is, this line is normally going to be round about the middle, okay? And that's exactly where we need to now drag all of our vertices. So I'm going to go ahead, and yes, even including the seam, because the seam vertex here is quite safe, because we're only moving up or down and forward and backwards. It's not going to be shifting it left to right, which is what we don't want. So from selecting our first vertex, I'm not going to marquee select. Marquee select, you're going to end up with a group of them like this, and then when you try to move them, this is going to happen. And we do not want this happening yet, not at this stage anyway. So I'm going to individually select these vertices, and I'm going to add to my selection by holding down the shift key until the plus arrow appears, and I'm just going to literally just work my way down and select those individual vertices that I need to move. Okay, when you're happy with that, you can go ahead and just pull them down. Oops, and I seem to have missed a vertex. I have. So I'm going to undo that maneuver and just quickly add, even from here, from this perspective, I can go ahead, rotate round, and I can say I want this vertex right here to add to my selection. I can come back here and I can just pull. Okay, now that is making one heck of a forehead, so we're going to be dealing with that in a second. But where I want to pull, I'm going to pull just around here, the imaginary line just before the arm. That's where I'm going to pull to. And this, if I select this vertex here, you can now see that's more of a central vertex. The one that should stick out the furthest should be the seam vertices. So now we're going to grab the seam vertices. I'm going to go from the front, and I'm just going to very, very carefully individually select. I'm not marquee selecting, I'm single clicking. I'm just going to grab, actually I think I've grabbed one too many, so I'm just going to deselect that one. I'm just going to grab these vertices here along the head, and I'm going to pull them forward. Okay, now this is what it looks like a big mess at the moment, but we're going to clean that right up. Okay, we're going to individually select that, and we're just going to push them, again following the outline to the best of your ability. We are working with limited polygons at this stage, but we are going to start adding in a few more details. So in regards with this vertex here, this is stepping back just a little bit too much, so I think I'm going to bring that forward slightly and bring it down. There we go. Now the trick with this is, if you take a look at your perspective view now, the trick with this is to try and set up your vertices so that they are ready to have more edges added to help push out the geometry more and round it off. Now if I go ahead and use a subdivision on here, you can do that by hitting 2. You can see what it would look like when it's smoothed out, which at this point looks more like a glowworm than a rabbit, but this will give you an idea of what is happening and what you need to do and not do. Okay, so I now know that that still needs a lot of work. The subdivisions have told me so. So now I need to get back to work with this. So again, you're selecting individual vertices, but you're using the front and right viewport to control the pull of each and every vertex to make sure that it doesn't start moving left to right. It has to try and remain within the straightness of the lines. Try and keep it as much as you can within its flow. Now, same goes for things like the back end. Now, the back end is going to be a little bit more tricky because we're not going to be working with a reference, instead we're going to be working with a common sense. So for example, this vertice here, that's too far forward. We need to pull that one back. So that was my mistaken vertice. So I'm going to pull that one and I'm going to fit it around here. We also have these other vertices as well. So for example, this one. Let's zoom in for a minute. So we have this vertice here. I'm going to grab these as a selection now. So we're going to add this, and we are going to pull these out so I can see where they are. There they are. And individually, one at a time, we're going to start pulling these things in and start making them sit a little more rounded. Okay, and the next set is going to be the seam lines again. So again, I'm going to just grab these as a bunch of selections. I'm going to pull these out, and these ones should be following the outline. So again, I'm using the controls to just go ahead and pull on the outline. Okay, now that's not looking very impressive in all honesty, but this is a labor of love and it's going to take time and it's something that you need to learn to be patient with. Now again, I'm going to fast forward from here and I'm going to show you what you should be aiming for at the end of this.